Okay, back to it here. Quickly, kind of after watching the tape from last week, I thought a couple things stood out defensively. Really pleased with the red zone kind of defense we played early on in the game, holding them to the two field goals. I thought was huge in regards to momentum. Same thing at the end of the half, getting a stop there that we got the ball back and the offense was able to put it in to in the half. I thought that was huge. Definitely got to clean up some tackling. We got to tackle better. Uh, you got to give Arizona some credit. That's the style of play they create. A lot of open space, one-on-one tackles, but we missed a bunch of them. And then definitely got to clean up the penalty end. Again, we want to be playing aggressively, running the ball. We got to be smarter around the quarterback. We got to be smarter around the sideline, which was addressed yesterday. Offensively started fast. It was huge for us. 2 minute at the end of the half was big, momentum-wise. Really thought the O-line played well after watching the tape, doing some things in the run game and the pass game. And then I think we're progressing special teams wise. D-Rod's kicking it well. I think still we can take a step in our coverage units. But overall, there was not a lot there, special teams, really on the negative end. Definitely a short week for us here. Got a big-time challenge coming in Friday night. Got a ton of respect for this program, these coaches, players, and they're good. I mean, you look at them, their last two games, they are toe-to-toe with the best two teams in this league. Got the lead in the second half, and obviously it didn't go their way, but we know exactly what's coming in here, a big-time challenge, which our guys are excited about, and we're definitely excited to be back in research and back at home. Questions?
Coach, how good was it to get Jamar Jefferson back fully immersed in the offense, and what did that do for your offense?
Yeah, it was great. I thought he did run it well. A couple of those runs that even for like 3 or 4 yards were well earned by him, and that's his style. I still think he's got more to him. Again, taking that much time off to get back and have the amount of carries he had, and so it's a bonus to have multiple backs in the style we play.
Do you, in regards to Jamar, do you envision playing them like you did Saturday, where they were kind of coming in back and forth within series, or do you think one of them is going to kind of become the lead guy?
Right. No, we're going to shoot to always rotate them. We like to have 2 guys going, sometimes 3. If one of them kind of gets the hot hand, they might get more carries, but we're definitely going to rotate them.
In regards to Trayvon, he's got 3 games he could play and still redshirt. You've got 4 left. Do you leave it up into his hands at this point? Because, I mean, you got stakes now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he wants to play in all 4, and maybe, I don't know, how do you deal with
He's definitely a part of the conversation. His intention is to play in 4 games and play again next year. We're kind of going week by week because there's a few factors, who we're playing, some of the offensive plan, what's the depth at receiver. Like last week it was huge because Colby was dinged up. So we're kind of taking it week to week and making the final call on him playing at the end of the week, but I would anticipate him playing in this game.
Coach Omar gets named the defensive freshman or the freshman player of the week. Just what's he done? And I had a big game, but what's he done and what's he provided for you guys this year?
Yeah, he's just grown. I mean, he works really hard. He's been here since, January, which was huge for him to go through spring ball. And I just think the guy's improved each week. His understanding, the speed of play from game 1 to where we're at now is it's off the charts. He's been productive. He's a physical kid that knows what he's doing. And he works hard at practice. He really does. He goes. And I'll give some credit to Coach Bray as well. I mean, developing a younger player like that, and now he's playing at a high level. Trent's doing a good job.
You mentioned Washington's had some good first halves, and then the second half, it seems they've kind of fallen apart, maybe not been able to be as productive. Obviously, is there anything you've seen, like, why that's happened? And, is it kind of strange to see, like, back-to-back weeks where you have that double-digit lead and then it kind of evaporates?
Yeah, well, again, I go back to who they're playing. They're playing some good teams. I really, we got a firsthand taste of what Utah is. And so I credit to that. I look at them, again, they're talented on both sides. They make the game physical. They're well coached. They just ran into 2 really good teams.
Coach, one of Jamar's touchdowns, you had a big fullback in there, Isaac Hodgins. How did you pick him? How often will that come up?
Right.
Was there a competition for that? Was he wanted to do it?
No, he's been about it since he's got here. He's got a skill set to play a little bit of fullback with being able to move the pile. He's a smart kid, and because that's not always easy to play mostly defense and then come on over. He's been we've had that in the package for a few weeks, and I think I don't know if we've called it before or not, but did a good job on the play.
So in that game, I think there were 2 or 3 instances when it looked like a running back for Arizona was leading with the helmet. And when a running back is trying to get more yards, I mean, how tough is it to determine, well, that was targeting?
So it is tough. And again, I'm all about making this game safer. They look at that stuff all the time because it is. It's not just defenders coming in leading with their head. They can be offensive players. I think these things are so bang bang too to make the call. It's not easy.
One more thing. It's kind of a philosophical coaching thing. You're up 42-31, about 11 minutes to go in the game. And, you know, the play clock starts at 40, and you guys are hiking about, 20 to 25 seconds left on the clock. Now, there could be a philosophy that, hey, if we try to milk the clock at this point, that could change the demeanor of the offense, like they're taking the foot off the gas. What is the philosophy about when do you start milking the clock?
Right. Well, not with 10, 11 minutes because you don't want to lose your rhythm, and you want to play with rhythm offensively, and we were having some success scoring, so we weren't going to change that. As it gets closer to that 4 minute mark, then you change your approach and start using more clock.
Jonathan, you coached with Chris Peterson for a long time, Boise, and then 4 years at Washington. Please don't tell me this is just another game for you. How much extra is it when you're going? And a lot of those kids you coach too.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with a lot of faces up there. They got a bunch of new guys out there that I don't know. Again, I go back to having a ton of respect for them. But again, once this game is kicked off, it's all about the players against them, each other going. Appreciate what he did for my career, and really enjoy a lot of those guys that are still up there. Great bunch of guys that work really hard. So I got a ton of respect for them.
Your players are treating the B word with the bowl game word with respect. They don't want to even mention it in a sentence. But you're in a situation where if you can win 2 more games, do you just totally ignore that, or do you say, "Hey guys, look what maybe we can do"?
They're very aware where we're at. I mean, they know that, but the reality is where we want to go to. It's about the task at hand. Like the mental energy of thinking about this, 2 games, that, and the other. It's like we got a game in front of us. That's what we can control. That needs to be the focus.
You obviously had a number of defensive penalties on Saturday, but there were a couple of roughing the passer calls that seemed like they were right on the border. Did you have any communication with the Pac-12 at all about?
I've not spoken to anyone on that. I will say they're trying to protect guys out there in the quarterback, and we got to play within the rules. And if they're going to call it that way, we got to play within the rules. I thought we got a pretty good call on Luton too. So I think they are calling it both ways. We got to be smarter around the queue.
Noah he seems like he's picking it up week by week as far as being more engaged in catching the ball. He's always been blocking, but do you feel like he senses time's running out and he's trying to get as involved as possible?
I think he's always had great urgency, in how he's preparing, practicing, being a part of the plan, and a few more balls have gone his way. He was huge. Really in this game, making some big time catches over the middle, and then obviously the end of the half. And so I don't think there's anything different he's been doing the last couple of weeks.
After watching the video, was that the best offensive line performance in terms of both run blocking and pass protection of the season?
It's got to be up there. I did think across the board those guys played pretty solid. You got to throw the tight ends in that mix in the run game especially. And we'd asked those guys to do some pass pro. So as a group, all 7 of them played pretty good.
What about the injuries with Taylor and Wright and Shamar Smith?
Right. All of those guys have a chance to play this weekend, but it'll make a call at the end of the week. They're not longer term, not definite going to play. Like we practiced today, and all 3 of them are very limited.
Artavis was limping there a little bit at the end. Is he okay?
He is good.
Okay. Yeah. And Jack Coletto, is he still with the program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been doing an awesome job on scouts, on D and special teams.
Speaking of one more, Eldridge didn't play Saturday, but was he ready to go?
He was.
It was just a matter of you were going good and
Yep, and Newsom's been playing good, and just the amount of time he had off, he just hadn't quite earned getting in the rotation, but he's cleared to go.
With Rashid, are you seeing offenses doing a little bit more, trying to limit, it doesn't seem to be very successful so far.
Right,
Are
you
they
know-
doing more or are they playing them pretty much the way they played them all year?
Yeah, I don't see much difference. I'm sure they're aware of him. I mean, it's statistically where he's at, but we haven't taken notice of like, okay, the O-line's working that way all the time, or they're always adding a back in. We haven't noticed that.
Coach, going back to scouting the Huskies a little bit, what do you see in Eason and what kind of problems does he present for your defense?
Yeah, well, it starts when you watch the tape, his arm jumps out. I mean, he's got elite arm talent. He's pretty athletic. I know he's a big sized, a good sized kid and he moves around really well for that. He's extending plays, knows where he's going with the ball, running that offense, I think, at a high level. He's an impressive player.
I know that especially on a short week, this is probably a bad time to ask you. You're so entrenched in the week-to-week, day-to-day, moment-to-moment details of what it takes to win a game with this football team. But in the 10 seconds that you took to just soak in the win on Saturday, did you think about where you have this program and the records that you are setting? Three
Right.
straight conference road or 3 straight road wins for the first time in years.
You're always trying to win the game, and you feel great about that. I did enjoy kind of seeing the faces of the guys celebrating with the awesome Beavers that came down to Arizona. We had a good amount of people there for the crowd, and then the locker room's always a blast. But your mind never really stops thinking about what's next and the approach and short week and how we're going to handle it and what we're going to be back to the task at hand.
Is there really, I mean, how big of a difference is there being one day less? I know it's on a Thursday where you're really short, but what's maybe one of those things that just changes things up when you got that one fewer day to prepare?
We just approached it that we were going to start a day earlier. Normally, Monday would be a day off, but today we just moved it all up. And I thought they went pretty good today in practice. That's how we've approached it. And so toward the end of the week, hopefully it feels pretty normal.
Coach, there's lots of adjectives to describe Isaiah Hodgins, his season he's having. One thing I'm really impressed with is just his route running, how precise it is. Talk about that and talk about, what it takes to get to that level.
Yeah, he's a good route runner, and he's improved that, I think, from even last year to this year. The route he runs on that 25-yard touchdown is a beautiful route now. I mean, he sets it up, patience. That's not always easy to do, like knowing that I can spend a little longer time on this route to come out of it. He's a veteran that, works really hard at his craft and shows up.
Did you have to reteach the guys what a fullback was?
Not totally, because we've had Hodge doing it a little bit on goal line situations, but not totally.
And how much has Washington offensively changed since you were there? Was that your system, you ran it, or Pete's system and you ran it?
I think every year people change and tweak and grow, and I see that when I watch the tape, that there's things that they're doing that, I wasn't a part of. There are some plays that, I was. Just like everyone. I mean, everyone runs some inside zone or outside zone, and they are doing some things that create some problems on the defense. They're doing a good job with it.
Coach, you talked about how good Utah is. The adjustments they made, they gave up 3 sacks in the first quarter to Washington. When you saw that kind of pressure coming, did Utah just take care of that as the thing went along?
Yeah, well, that D-line stands out for UW now, and they were squeezing the pocket on him, slashing the run game too. Utah's good. I mean, they got some talent. They're competitive. Everybody's always making adjustments, and it was a highly competitive game for 4 quarters.
A guy who caught one ball when Isaiah hit the turf hard with that knee, Josiah Irish.
Yeah.
What about that one catch and the play that he made there?
That was huge. It really was. I mean, and it was nice to see the guys continue to work hard. He's been nicked up a little bit and finally getting back and getting a chance like that. That was a huge play because I don't think we score if he don't make that play at the end of the half.
Did Artavis's first big run on that last series in the first half kind of compel you, hey, we can go for something here now?
Yeah, we felt like, if we could get something on the first play, we were going to go. We had 3 timeouts. If, it goes for nothing, maybe then we're thinking differently. But once it went, we were going to try to be aggressive.
Noah Tongi has already been asked about, but not only the catches, the touchdown catch, but on Tyjon Lindsey's sweep, I mean, he was nearly outrunning Lindsey to get down there and lead the block. I mean, that the word frisky was used about him. It looks like he's playing with speed.
Yeah, he's moving
energy.
around. He is. I think he's pretty healthy. He's moving around. He's been great in the run game, and we ask him to do a lot of stuff, not just staying in one spot blocking.
I'll be the one to ask. Are you concerned about the penalties?
Oh, you're always looking at ways. Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to address it. We're not trying to go into the games trying to have no penalties. That's the
Right.
goal. That's not it. But we don't want to go 12 and 13 like we've gone back to back.
There was a few, one face mask and a few others that looked like they could have been. Is that just the guys, it's just in the heat of the battle of reaching and grabbing
Yes.
defensively?
I mean, and heat of the moment, going fast, and they were penalties. Okay. Thank you.